This is the budget hearing for the municipal budget for the town of Georgetown. Thank you all for coming out. Just want to let you know this is recorded for YouTube. First and foremost, I'm Mary McDonald, I'm the Finance Director for Georgetown. This budget is a bunch of pieces that are always put together by our Finance Advisory Committee. And I want to give a big hand to the Finance Advisory Committee. Julie Pankey is on Zoom, but Bob Gabona, the chair of the Finance Advisory Committee, Lisa Sabatine and Judy Teller, as well as Terry. Terry, did you say Terry was on? No, he's on. Anyway, those folks all helped put together this budget. We could not put together this budget without them. So a big round of thanks for them. So Tyler is going to share the budget document that we're looking at. I think most of you have it in your hand. If not, there's copies right there. Okay, so yeah. Skip down a couple of pages. Yeah, now, how we normally present this is, if you look at your packet, the total town budget, then the municipal budget, then the expected revenues are right in there before we hit the actual individual departments. We kind of like to go over that document at the end of the budget hearing, just because then you've got, some numbers, some numbers to have to look at. Anyway, the first one up, of course, is so skip down expected revenues of the school. This is the school budget that you saw last night. As you know, as they stated, this is a little reduction of almost 1% on the expenditures, but an increase in the allocation of 5.1%. So, but that was handled last night at the school committee. So, town officer salaries. This one is up about 13.8%. We've done a couple of different things here. We have increased the salary for the town administrator, as well as the finance director and the town clerk and tax collector. You'll see those, the town clerk and tax collector really looks high, but what you're not seeing here is the fact that she will no longer be getting any fees. All of those fees, as part of the fee schedule that we're working on, will be going to the town. So normally when you get a car registered, it's the excise tax plus a $5 or $4 agent fee. Those fees will no longer be going to the clerk, and that is why you see that huge, what appears to be a huge salary increase on that line. That is why. The town is expecting to bring all of those revenues in and use them. Other than that, the sick and vacation fund is down a little bit. The emergency management director, we've always had a emergency management director. It's just kind of a position that was out there. He looked at our plan and he did a few other things. But we've had, as you know, this year we've had some major storms. We've had some major issues that have involved an emergency management director. We have rolled that all, and currently our emergency management director is Chris Wilcoxon. He, as most everyone knows by now, is leaving at the end of June. And everything that we've been paying Chris for his time this year has been through the select board's contingency. So we have put in this budget 100 hours at $25 an hour plus a $250 stipend. Should there be no time needed, he would still get that stipend for reviewing the plans and things like that. So that is your town officer salaries. Okay. Town office expenses up a bit as well. As everyone can expect, we go right to the first one is the computer software. As everybody knows, that continues to go up. This is what we pay for to have our Trio system, which is what pretty much runs the town as far as assessing and Blue Book and all of that stuff. So, and then there's also the QuickBooks, which is what we do the finance on. So that all of those things are going up slightly. The custodian, this is just actually a COLA increase and a little bit more than that. The education and training, we bumped that up $1,000 this year. As you know, we have a new town administrator. And there are a bunch of classes that are really, important that he take to, if for nothing more than to make contacts and things like that. So we bumped that budget up a little bit. You know, it looks like a lot, 66%, and it's $1,000 or, yeah, $1,000. So, you know, that's not up that much. We did the same thing for mileage. For a couple of different reasons, but one is so that, your, clerk can be paid for the trips to the bank, things like that. So we bumped that up with that. The lease of the copier is going up a little bit. The telephone, we've dropped down a little bit. And really pretty much that's it. Everything else on that stuff is flat, so. This budget, if we look at this is an election year, as you know, we have a presidential election coming up in the next fiscal year. So we bumped up the election expense a little bit for that. And then, you know, both health insurance, workers' comp, all that stuff. We've actually left the regular insurances out the same, but, the health insurance, they let us know that there would be an increase, so we bumped that up for that. We put back in the budget this year, interest expense for tax anticipation note, that's what a TAN is. This year we got stopped, we were unable to commit taxes as we normally do. In, you know, the end of October, beginning of November, therefore we had to borrow money. County tax is due, and we must pay that, and we must pay it. We always take the 30 days, but we have to pay it by the end of October. So I'm usually going up there at the end of October in my costume with their check. But this year we were unable to commit taxes in time if we had to borrow. And it bad us this year. So and again, we have to roll that through contingency. So so we put that line item back in the budget. Should we need it again next year? Maine Municipal Association, that's our dues, that went up to about 4,200 this year. So we bumped it up a little bit. Property assessing, as most of you have probably heard, we have Mr. Van Tynen, who is our contracted assessor, doing a reevaluation. We have what's that?
Getting higher up.
Sorry. We have several properties that well, it doesn't really matter, but they sold, and we're having a hard time keeping up with the base. So Mr. Van Tynen is looking at that again this year, so we bumped that fund up a little bit. Let's see here. And the property mapping actually went down a little bit. We have not had as many splits, things like that need to be mapped out, so that we've changed. You know, we dropped a little bit. Tax collection expense, same thing, we've dropped that just a little bit. The audit expense is up 20%. At this point in time, I have not got a firm quote from our auditors. The auditors are very behind, and it is statewide. Maybe this is aware of it, legislation is aware of it, governor is aware of it. There is a very big lack of municipal auditors in the state of Maine. So we have not gotten our town audit from 2022-23 from last June. We have yet to receive that. They have got all the work. They were here in September as they normally were. We have not got that final audit yet. Neither does the school. So we're kind of in, you know, and like I said, there are very few of them. Last year, our auditor got done. That's why last year the expenditure went up so much, because we hired a new auditor. Ron Smith out of Buxton, I think. They're very well known, very good auditors. But unfortunately, they just have too much work. So we were supposed to have the audit no later than December 31st. Anyway, get off that line. Anyway, the town report, as you know, we haven't issued a town report in a while, and I've been carrying a balance that the auditors have allowed me to accumulate for when we do actually consolidate everything and get it printed. So we dropped that down because I think there's enough there. On the select board's contingency, that one, we dropped down. Last year, we had put some money in there for some negotiation, and we dropped that back out. Social Security's up because, you know, salaries will be up. Paid family and medical leave benefit. This is a new thing instituted by the legislation. And it's not something that this, as far as I'm concerned, is another unfunded mandate. We are required to submit 1% on payroll to the state. We could do that half and half you and half the town, or eat the whole 1%. So we put the whole 1%. Street lights are down a little bit because we've got some LED lights in, so we're happy with that. Let's see, the Board of Appeals, that's coming up in a minute. Conservation Planning Board, Town Office. We just handled, so pretty much, we did not do anything about the First Church Reserve Fund again until we figure out what's going on with that. And we didn't do anything with Office Equipment Reserve Fund this year because we feel there's enough in there. We expect that the Office Equipment Reserve is gonna have, or has $10,000, and we figure that's sufficient.
Do you want questions now on the slides or as they go? There's a question about the Board of Appeals and why it's down.
Okay, so I would say we'll probably answer that as I go through.
Perfect.
At the end, right, Bob, is that how we usually take it at the end? Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for general government. So as part of your general government, the next couple of pages are the Planning Board and Board of Appeals. You'll see them on this general government sheet, but the backup is behind it. The planning board has remained steady at $500. This is just allows them to, you know, if someone needs some training, they get a new member on the board. If they need, you know, a bunch of new workbooks from MMA, that's where all that comes from. The Board of Appeals has brought their budget down by 40.5%. What we've done is just, we haven't had an appeal for a long time. And what we've always had in budget was just enough to have 2 or 3 appeals. They feel that the 625 is sufficient to have any appeals that they need. And again, it gives them some money for materials for their new members, just miscellaneous in case they need any supplies, and then it's, you know, it's enough for pretty much 1 appeal. Okay. Okay, so the conservation budget is next. That budget is up, as you see, 16.4%, but in actuality, they're requesting 32.8% less in appropriation. They're taking the majority of that from their reserve fund. They are intending to finalize or finish the trail surveying down in 5 Islands of the Ippic Park Preserve. John Wood, as you know, is close to retirement, and he's done all of that for us, and we've talked him into doing that last piece. So that's what that is in the trail surveying. So they're going to be taking all of the cost is $4,000, $3,000 they already have in reserve. So and then they continue to put some money in their trail reserve, and then the printing costs for their trail maps, things like that, and then maintenance and website. So like I said, up a bit, but you know, all because of surveying. Okay. TOPMB. All right, so the TOPMB budget is it's up significantly. They've had a lot of hits this year. One thing I will state right now up front, on this page, which is page 12 of the budget, when the Finance Advisory Committee and I put together this budget, we failed to put in $9,500 in engineering and surveying for the Town and Property Management Board. So I let the select board know that last night. And I added it to the budget, but not for the presentation because we already had it on the website. So and Stephen Macy's here to answer any kind of questions on that when we get to them. But so the TOPMBs, their float and launch is up a little bit. Tree cutting was up. For a bunch of pines, I believe that the tree cutting up on that. Stephen. Then utilities are down just a little bit. So. And they've asked for an additional 10,000 into the water reserve. They put 10 in last year. This year they're asking for 20. You know, and that's a lot of what, it adds up to here. So, in the end, this budget is not 46.3, it's 55.8. And like I said, that, I'll carry that forward to the next thing. The second page of that TOPMB is just where their revenues are coming and where their reserve funds that tend to be at the end of this year. Okay. Animal control, this budget is down a little bit, mostly just in hours. Actually not in hours, it's up a little bit there, it's down in mileage. The animal shelter contract came in the same this year, which is kind of unusual. Code enforcement. Okay, so this budget is a little bit different this year. Won't look like this next year. But what it amounts to is, I just mentioned earlier, Chris Wilcoxon, our current code enforcement officer, is leaving as of the end of middle of June. We have hired, the select board has hired Michael Field, who is the old back police chief who retired and then went out to work for the office of cannabis in the state of Maine. He has agreed to be the code enforcement officer for the town of Georgetown, the town of Woolwich, and the town of Rouseck. And we have negotiated a salary of $35,000 for that position. As well as some other little things, like supplies in case you should need anything. And then the mobile communications last year, we started paying Chris 25, I don't know if you guys remember Paul, Chris, the poor guy, his phone just never stops. So we decided last year we were putting $25 a month in for his phone. The septic fees, those are the fees that you pay to the town, and we remit those to the state. And then some money here for training. So the budget is up. And again, all of those building fees, cannabis fee, floodplains, all of those fees now will be coming directly to the town before they were paid to the code enforcement office. Okay. All right. Volunteer fire department. Okay, so this budget, if you look at it, the first subtotal for expenses is under payroll. Those are all up a little bit. What we've done is Brian and I have worked on this budget. We are looking to change the way the fire department personnel are paid. And we have started them at a rate. I believe the rate will be going to 20. Sorry, no, I'm sorry. Yep, 18 plus tax. For the firefighter and ambulance calls, okay? The admin portion is going to be 15 hours a week. Right, is that the admin portion at $30 an hour. And then the fire and EMS maintenance, we are looking for a person to, I think Brian mentioned that the other day, to help with the maintenance of the vehicles, cleaning up the fire station, things like that. So he's got that in there at 10 hours a week at $25. And then the firefighter and EMT training expenditure, that is the money that we pay out to have our firefighters and EMTs trained. If someone comes down here and offers a class to them, something like that, that's where we pay that from. And then we have a medical director that is required by the state, that the fire department have a medical director, and we also have a safety officer, and those two are paid stipends, and that's $7,000 there. The next pretty much, these are all up and down. Advanced life support, that's our MC1, which screams down when it's a, that type of a call. Communications and technology, we dropped down a little bit. Axiom will not be billing the fire department, but they still have other, we had budgeted in for some broadband, but they will not be billing us. So, so we've dropped that down a little bit. EMS and ambulance is up a little bit, that's your supplies for your ambulance, your medication supplies. Equipment replacement, we dropped that down. Brian feels he's got enough there. Same thing with the gears and the uniforms. He got some grant money for uniforms a couple years ago and did a lot of that and pretty much felt like he was caught up. So, the building and the ground maintenance, we dropped down a little bit, as well as the maintenance of the vehicles. Maintenance for the equipment he's put up a little bit. This is the other stuff, not buildings and not vehicles. Recruitment has stayed the same. The office supplies dropped down a little bit, or went up a little bit. And then we put the utilities up a little bit and the fuel for the vehicles. Brian has requested a new line item for capital equipment reserve fund. And that again is not vehicles. That we've also got the vehicle reserve, which we hope to fund for 50,000 this year. But this is a new equipment reserve fund for things like pots and things like defibrillator, you know, that kind of stuff. But I'll let Brian talk to his budget when we're done here. And that I do believe is it for the fire department. So, in actuality, the budget, the expenditures are down 19.7%. So they've done, you know, a good job on track of it. Harbor Committee. Right, this budget is down. They are not, Frank and Woody are both now pretty much tenured harbor masters. So they're not gonna be part of the training this year. They used to go up to Castine and spend 2 or 3 days up there at Maine Maritime for training. They don't feel that they need to do that every year, so they dropped it out of their budget. Other than that, the harbor master wages, we tweaked a bit, just to get it, you know, to 20, it's up down to 2250. And then the other part was the postage. This year, the harbor committee decided that they would like to implement again, be putting more stickers on the mooring ball itself. So therefore, and since a lot of our moorings are done through the mail, Alex is now doing those stickers and mailing them to everybody. So that's why we bumped up their postage significantly. Overall, this budget is down 6.2%. Shellfish Committee. Pretty much again, not a whole lot going on with this budget either. The shellfish warden mileage, we did bump up again because we bumped up the rate on that. And then the shellfish warden wages, we bumped that again from 19 to 2250. And again, we've got a deputy warden here that we're looking for. So we put some money in there in case we should find one, charge a train. Other than that, you know, they're pretty much flat. Yeah, pretty much it's a flat. Jay Holton still contributes to the salty program, so you'll see that transfer from him for $200 as that, so that salty program is covered. So overall, their budget's up 11%. All of which comes from appropriations. And on page 2 of that, shellfish is their revenues. So we're expecting for revenues. Okay, solid waste. The solid waste committee is asked, so if we look down through this, the solid waste committee is asked for an increase in their reserve fund. They've gone out for the quote from the folks at the compactor, and they need to bump that up a little bit in order to get there. General ops, including mowing, is down a little bit. Licensing fees are up a little bit. Maintenance and repair, it's pretty flat. The phone, this one is, we have a regular consolidated landline down there. Now we also have internet down there. Not sure if one of those will drop. The landline, I don't believe will drop for safety purposes. I don't believe that that the solid waste committee will drop that line. So we've increased this in order to cover broadband. Hauling and tipping, we're expecting pretty much to be flat with a little bit of an increase. As far as a little bit of increase in the rate, but not much as far as the tonnage is concerned. And then our household hazardous waste, those are the two events that we have every year. And then the recycling contract with Lincoln County, as you know, that's a flat based on population, so that's gone up 13%. And then the universal hazardous waste, that is the stuff, you know, your computers, your, all of that kind of stuff that we have to separate and ship off. And those costs are continuing to rise. So, overall, the budget is down 2.5%, although an increase in town fund. The snow removal. Sorry, I'm sorry, did those back?
I can understand.
No, I'm sorry, I had my fat fingers, sorry about that. Roads. The roads budget is up significantly, as you see, we have a very big project going on up on Robin Hood Road, that big culvert replacement. We expect all of that will be funded through grants that we have received already. We have received the FEMA grant for that and a stream crossing grant from the state. So, so you'll see, so that stuff's all in the capital expenditure portion of it. The gravel roads, Charlie's asked for some additional money for ditching, some tree removal. We have a bunch of, I believe they're hemlocks.
Yep.
That are dead that need to be removed before they wind up in the road. General incidentals, so that's not, and then the brush cutting and mowing, he has dropped that a little bit, did a lot of that already. And then the transfer to the paving reserve, we've dropped the Robin Hood Reserve, obviously, for this year. And we expect that next year we may be able to draw some of that money back into the other paving reserve. And then the paving reserve, we always fund about 75,000. So, so like I said, this is a significant budget. Our third largest, and he normally gets about 300,000 in auto excise tax and about 30,000 from the state. So snow removal, this is a contract with Maine Moss for plowing of the roads. Included in this 344,000 is a $5,000 escalation clause for fuel. They have not requested that yet for this year. I don't believe that he will, but we must include it for, you know, to be sure that we're covered. Okay. Health, recreation, and social services. These are the what am I trying to say? The social things that the town of Georgetown feels strongly about and feels should be funded. So if you look down over this sheet, we have a new request for the Bath Area YMCA. That will actually not be as part of the Health and Human Services. When we get to town meeting, we're going to do a separate article on that. One Bath Area YMCA, they're requesting $10,000 for a capital campaign to do some work with their daycare up there. So that will be a separate line item, not part of this actual budget. We received a request from Bath Brunswick Respite Care, which was a new funding request that the FAC did not fund this year. And we did not receive a request. As everyone knows, what part of this is that folks request it from us, and Big Brothers Big Sisters did not do that this year. And I will tell you, they did not do it last year either. But at that point, Amanda Campbell and I, and her as the town administrator and as the finance director, put it on because it's an important program. It's important for us. It's important for our school. It's important for our children. But I just can't keep making exceptions to the rule. So therefore, they're not on the sheet this year. And I'm sad for that. Life Flight of Maine continued. Life Flight and Maine Public both send requests in almost every year. The Finance Advisory Committee, we've kind of been in a let's not add anybody new. If we've already funded a Prego, we're trying not to add new to it. Okay, the other ones, the only one that is increased, so Midcoast Maine Community Action, those are the folks up on Wing Farm Parkway, up in Bath. We send most general assistance clients up there because Midcoast Maine Community Action has budgeting and planning and a bunch of other resources that those folks can use. So, that's another one that, we fund. New Hope out of New Hope Midcoast is I believe a shelter for women, Oasis Free Clinic. Most people know what that's for. People's Plus is part of our group that works closely with our age friendly Spectrum Generations. And then Sweetser, another one of those important organizations, that really need support. And that one is the only one really pretty much that went up this year, was the Sweetser donation. Patent-free libraries request is up 5%. General assistance, we had talked about cutting this line item down. But we don't feel that's appropriate at this point. The community center has requested $2,000 additional funding this year. The community center started for two or three different reasons, but the majority of it is that a lot of the folks that are that need help are coming to the community center and doing it through our X fund rather than through general assistance. General assistance, it's really tough to qualify for general assistance. You really have to be almost destitute to qualify. So a lot of the people are going through the community center instead. So the community center has asked for additional funding for that purpose. We also started a food cupboard this winter, early fall, I guess it was. And we've had some folks utilizing that as well. So the recreation budget is next on the next sheet. And then Richard's Library has also come in with a funding request of $1,500 as usual. So that is the total for the Health, Human, Social Services. Like I said, the recreation budget is next as part of that. So virtually there's not I mean, these guys shift their stuff around, but their budget is up by $75. So I'm not sure if it's worth going through the line items, but the Get to Know Your Neighbor party is the biggest piece of it. And then a bunch of different things that they do with the community members and the school. So, Cemetery District Trustees, this is a big, huge jump in their budget. And it is, but as you see, only 3% coming from town funds. Under cemetery management, we normally pay a stipend to the chair of the committee. The chair has requested that we pay each of them because they have a lot of work that they're working on. So we put that into the budget here. Flags and plaques. As you know, we decorate all of the veteran graves with flags every year. Those flags do not make it to the next year. We just don't. So we replace them every year. They put additional funding in here this year because there's a banner that it is down in 5 lines on Campbell Square, and that banner needs to be replaced. So they requested funding. General ops, they dropped significantly with everything else that they've got going. Marker expense, that is when we sell a lot. There are 4 corner markers. That is revenue in as well as expenditure out. We charge exactly what we make those. Then monument repair, we have a couple of, there's no change in that, but we have money put aside for those stones that are damaged. We have a couple at Oak Cemetery, one down at 5 Islands that Paulette Monuments is going to come down and repair for us. So we just like to keep money in there in case there's more that show up. The cemetery upkeep, the mowing bid has gone up a little bit, not a whole lot. And that is Jordan Wilcoxon, and he is going to continue to do that for the next fiscal year. Chris and family are leaving. Jordan is staying behind to complete his college since he goes to school here. And he's training to be a pilot for the dust up. So the next one up, this is the big one, of course. It's gone up 10,000%. This is, there's the stone wall down around the Five Islands Cemetery is in dire need of repair. The last time it was repaired, it was done, the only side that was repaired was the side that is on the community center's parking lot, and we had the Volunteers of America. When, back in the day, when they were down doing that, we had one that was a mason. And so he started to work on that, and then when the volunteers found out he was having a good time at his, probate, whatever the hell he was supposed to be in there for, they pulled him, so it didn't get completed, and now, But anyway, they would like to do from behind the stage at the community center all the way around to the front. Randall Look, who's up off Weber Road, has contact where they have received a quote from Randall Look to do that for $54,000. So they would like to do that. They are taking all of that from the cemetery fund. Cemetery fund has about $80,000. So, and then just the cemetery upkeep of the trees and removal of the trees. Again, we have some nasty trees down at Five Islands that are threatening to break, and when they do, they're gonna take not only stones, but a bunch of other stuff with them. So the cemetery committee has requested quotes from a few different people, but I believe they've got one from Brian Meehan to do some work down there. So in all, again, their budget is up huge, 250, almost 250%, but only 3% of that, almost 4% is coming from taxes. And then Mattapan Islands. As you know, there is a fire inspection law that states that the town of Georgetown will reimburse to Mattapan Island 20% of the taxes paid. So this has gone up by 10.5%. Last year, your mill rate went up, therefore your taxes went up, therefore their rebate goes up. Okay. So that brings us back to the total town budget. Or actually, why don't we just go right to municipal? Okay, so everything that we have looked at here tonight indicates that you're looking at an increase of request at 12.9. And the total to be raised by taxes of 29.1, okay, on the municipal side only. Okay, that's when you take it into consideration. Your revenue sharing. Our revenue sharing is actually up next year, according to the state's website right now. Again, I don't have a solid audit number, so withdrawing from undesignated fund balance when you're not exactly sure where that number stands. So we've taken 150,000. I feel that's uncomfortable in doing that, but it is $50,000 less than we were able to save last year. And then your non-property tax revenues. That is on the next sheet, which is on page 4. Those are all of the revenues, excuse me, the town brings in from auto excise tax to, it includes town clerk fees, your cemetery lot sales, your I'm sorry, not lot sales, your cemetery trust fund income. They put a little bit of income, they take 2% of their fund. This is where your lien fees are, your mooring fees, your property tax interest, all these fees. So in next year's budget, we're showing a total revenue or total revenues coming in at $1.1 million. Well, a little over $1 million of that is just municipal. It does not include the school. Okay. So then if we look at the total town budget, right, that one is everything. That shows you that your school, is 2.7, your roads are 1, your Saginaw County tax 1.2 million. So in essence, in everything, all requests are up 7%. That's everybody. Total to be raised by town funds is up 7.9. And total to be raised by property taxes is up by 12.7. Okay, so now, I just told you that I made a correction to the town and property management board. So that actually brings that number from 12.7 to 12. Okay, so, it was not significant, however, it's there. So if you look down through this budget, the school and the county are 4 million of it, the roads is 1 million of it, and everything else is 1.6 million. Now, I believe we're opening for questions.
And we do have one in the chat. And folks can either raise their hand and come on video, or they can put it in the chat. And Susie asks, how does the town road budget reflect changes needed to certain roads because of sea level rise and the effects of this year's significant storms? Will there be a reserve fund or plan for changes to roads such as Hornbeck Point or Bay Point roads, which became impassable during recent storms? So that's the first question that wasn't already answered.
Okay, so, I'm gonna have to defer to Charlie on that. Honestly, I don't have an answer for Susie, so I think we should keep that question and pass it without Charlie.
Sounds good.
You know, I don't believe in this budget right here, there are no plans on
Nothing in that,
widening.
no, there's nothing in that budget.
There's nothing in this budget that is gonna, heighten the roads rate.
Thank you for the question, Susie.
Yeah, thanks, Susie, I'm gonna reach out to Charlie, we'll see if we can get back to you. This is a great question. Yeah. Any questions, anybody? Anybody have questions? I did all that work and you're not gonna ask me a question. Stephen, do you have anything to say about the town on property management board? Anything that coming up? They've done a lot of work down there. I don't know if anybody's been down. They did that. They had the decking on the dock replaced. Dale Savoy just got done doing a lot of repairs to the storm damage that was done right at the face of it. Malden Island's already got their ramp, their walkway and ramp rebuilds. The TOPMB's been working really hard. Tyler's been working hard with them. Looking for grant, we're doing what we can to get it together, so.
I did have a question, Ron, and you might have said it and I just couldn't understand it for a moment. When you said the Bath Area YMCA capital campaign, can you explain that a little more?
What I can do, yes, I can explain it a little bit. They had come to the town with a request for $10,000 to, as part of their capital campaign. I believe they're either building or rebuilding a facility for childcare. But I can get the thing and I'll scan it to you. Okay?
Yeah, because I'm just curious, as somebody who uses childcare, but
Yeah.
not who why,
Yeah.
how I benefit giving money.
Right. When Georgetown is, kind of out here in the peripheral, but when they did the turf field up in Bath, City of Bath came to all the municipalities that may use that and requested funding, and we funded that as well. So often we get those, sometimes we choose to and sometimes we don't. But I'll certainly email you the thing so you can. I meant to bring my donation folder, I just didn't have it.
That's okay. Yeah.
Sure.
And see no other questions in the chat, ma'am.
Brian, anything you want to say about your budget? I mean, I think
No,
it's pretty solid.
covered really well as well, but
Anything the FAC wants to say about any of their budgets that? No? Well, there,
With that,
is that it, really?
Awesome. That's, I would say something's all about part.
Okay, please,
if you could come a little closer to the mic, Bob, just to make sure we have the voice here. I've learned from candidates now.
Or at your podium.
Just as a recognition of the fire department, and I'll admit I'm biased because I'm a member. Seems like the calls are up this year. We're getting a lot more calls than we have in the past. Our equipment continues to get older, as do the personnel. me being one of them. And you really need to thank those guys. They're out there in the storms, in the middle of the night, in the snow and the ice. And the amount that they get paid is nothing, considering what they risk and what they do down. Thank you.
I agree. Anybody?
Seeing that?
I'd say, if you have any questions, reach out. And again, you know, this 12 point, whatever I said, 12.9 doesn't mean that the tax is going up 12.9%. That's not what I mean. We've only got one piece of the, you know, one piece of the puzzle at this point. It's only one piece of the fraction, but we need the other, the valuation, know where we are with that.
We did get one comment in the chat from Aria saying that she agrees with Bob and thanks to the fire department.
Absolutely, yes.
And one last message to everyone that's here, town meeting will be on June 15th. And our select board meeting on the 28th, and we'll schedule the start time. Some folks are pushing for a 9 a.m. start, I believe there's some desire for 10 a.m. So stay tuned on the 28th, but June 15th at the Georgetown Central School.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it gonna be Zoom tomorrow?
There will be no Zoom for town meeting, but my goal is to at least have a live stream running on Facebook for folks that cannot participate online, but can at least be informed of the spirited debate that always happens at Georgetown town meeting. Ben, okay.
Thank you.